Hi, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and here I have the Acer F900 or the Acer Tempo F900, which I'm just going to unbox for you. As you can see, it's a pretty large box for a Windows mobile device. We're just going to have a look inside. So on top we have the handset itself, which we're just going to remove. There you go, I have the handset itself. As you can see, it's a fairly large handset. Come back to that in just a moment. Then there is an inner box, which also has some accessories inside. So let's take a look. So first of all, we have a screen protector, which is obviously pretty much essential. We have a small case, which is a slip style pouch, sort of a suede effect on the outside and soft material on the inside. It is just a slip style pouch, there's no belt loop or anything like that, it's just to protect and keep the handset clean and tidy. There is a small quick guide, which is quite lightweight, just tells you how to install battery and that sort of thing. Then we have a standard USB to mini USB sync charge cable. There's a headset, which is a wired headset. It has a USB style or mini USB style connector on one end. We have an inline microphone with a push button and a volume control, and the volume control is actually accessed via both sides. And then the headphones themselves, obviously on the other end, they are pretty average looking. They don't look too terrible. I've seen worse, but I've also seen better. We have the foam covers for the headphones. Then there's a charger, which is a pretty standard looking mini USB charger, which doesn't have the plug in, so we have a European style plug there. A couple of pieces of foam in the box, which are just for packaging. We have a stylus, which is a telescopic stylus. As you can see there, it's a two-stage telescopic. This is the spare, so it does get quite small. We have a CD with active sync and a manual also on a separate CD. Then we have the international warranty card there, which is obviously quite useful. So looking at the handset itself, front there is obviously dominated by the touchscreen there, which is the 3.8 inch diagonal touchscreen, which is 480 by 800 pixels WVGA. You'll notice that there are no buttons on the front here. It's all completely touch interface, including the buttons, the bits down the bottom here. Have a look at that when we actually power on. Nothing really to speak of on the top of the device. On the back we have a 3.2 megapixel autofocus camera. Battery is obviously pre-installed here. If I just pop that out, like so. Battery obviously sits in this main compartment. You do need to remove the battery to fit the SIM card in there and pop the battery back in. There is a red switch there that just locks the battery in place, and then the back cover pops back on like so. It is quite firm. There are a couple of buttons sort of on the side that enable you to remove that. Up and down volume control rocker there with a push button in the centre of it, which is somewhat unusual. Then there's a memory card slot here, which takes micro SD memory cards. Generally has a cover over it, and unfortunately the cover is missing from this review handset, but it has a rubber cover over it. There's a reset button and a dedicated camera button on the side. On the bottom is where we find our stylus. As I say, it is a 3-stage telescopic stylus like that, or 2-stage telescopic stylus there. And that sits in the bottom. A little hole for the microphone. On the other side we have the USB socket for sync charge and audio connection, and then the power button. If we just power up, and while that's powering up, let's just list out the rest of the specification. We have a 533 MHz processor, 256 meg of ROM and 128 meg of RAM. As I say, 3.8 inch diagonal display, pretty generous size. Quad band for GSM and also dual band HSDPA, can be used pretty much throughout the world. Has built-in GPS, which is very cool. Bluetooth 2 with EDR and A2DP support. Wi-Fi 802.11bng supported. As I say, 3.2 megapixel autofocus camera on the rear. That battery has a 1530 milliamp hour capacity, which gives us a listed talk time of up to 7 hours. Micro SD card, as I mentioned there, the socket there, does support up to 16 gig according to spec. Whether or not that would support 32, unsure at the moment. Dimensions: 117mm from top to bottom, 63mm wide, and almost 13mm thick. It's certainly not a small handset, on par with the HTC Touch HD, I would say. Weight is 155 grams, again not terribly lightweight, and it does feel fairly chunky in your hand. Although the edges are somewhat curved, it does feel sort of fairly substantial. It's telling me that I have a missing SIM card. Obviously I haven't installed one. Then we have this Acer style desktop, which is pretty common on the Acer Tempo handsets. Then you have your quick launch button down the bottom, and we then have speed dials that we can put in various sort of commonly used contacts. And we have this touch sensitive area at the bottom, so when we touch here we can see that there's the answer and hang up buttons, a Windows key and a back button. If I push the Windows key, it does bring up the Windows Start items. The display isn't particularly bright. I'm sure that's something we change in the settings. We'll just have a look at that for that now, and we'll look for backlight brightness. And we'll turn that up to maximum. That's much better. It was halfway, was quite dark, I would have said. We can also adjust backlight using the light sensor, but we'll just leave that on full brightness for the moment. As you can see, this is pretty standard in terms of the settings menu. Today's soft key being the only sort of more unusual item there, and this is all pretty standard stuff in here. Touch control being slightly more unusual, and there's the gravity sensor there. So we do have a G sensor, which is useful. You notice that the keyboard just popped up there. Fairly decent sized QWERTY keyboard, which is very good to see. And there are other different entry modes. We have the standard Windows keyboard, Windows mobile keyboard. Then we have transcriber and letter recognizer. But we'll use the easy keyboard, which is better. Just turn that off. In connections, all pretty standard stuff there. And if we go into the programs menu, we've got games, voice commander, Acer Shell, multimedia, my mobile is obviously there as well, Google Maps pre-installed, internet sharing, quite useful. Zoom status for the status bar at the top, again quite useful. Windows Live pre-installed, all fairly standard stuff. We'll talk about the OS in a bit more detail when it comes to do the full review, but obviously we have got this sort of fairly standard Acer desktop with your various items on here. So you can go into your quick launch, and then you got your com manager. You've got photos and music and media. And it's all nicely animated. It's a little slow in the animation, but it's quite a nice animated display you've got there. You've got calendar and so on. As I say, we'll talk about the OS when it comes to do the full review, which will be online on tracyandmatt.co.uk over the next couple of weeks. And also, if you're a fan of our unboxing videos, check out the others that we have on unboxings.com.